Welcome to the week ahead reading for August 10th through 16th. Today we're going to be using cards from the Moonology Manifestation Oracle deck and the Moonchild Tarot deck. The first message that came through was that for this week, we are remembering a better way to be. I was drawn immediately to pull the first of 4 cards in today's reading, which is the first quarter moon in Capricorn, Unleash Your Kindest Self. And what came through at this point is each of the 4 cards is representing a how-to for the week ahead. So all 4 of them are tips for navigating this journey and whatever it is that we are going through on this eclipse portal week. I was nudged to bring up this side note. I am currently reading a book, I can include it in the description, on perfectionism. And the nudge here is maybe you are reading something similar, maybe you take the book recommendation or any other interviews, podcasts, studies, research in the psychological realm, thinking about how we interact with and reframe the world around us, and specifically our relationship with it. The lesson when we're talking about Capricorn in this realm is to not be so serious nor overly goal focused. So we do want to develop as individuals. So even doing some of the extracurricular reading that I am talking about does fit with what Capricorn cares about. It's like wanting to better ourselves, if you will, kind of Virgo, but in a very specific way towards goals. We don't want to overly fixate on goals past the point of it being admirable to be ambitious. We want to settle somewhere between that authoritarian and reclusive workaholic on the spectrum and striking that appropriate balance where we are kind and compassionate through the process of growth, but we are thinking about something specifically in our relationship realm with life, reality, and other people that will serve us in the long term. Next, we have tip number 2, card number 2. This one's very hard to see because it's a super light card. But a woman is standing, it's a light blue, white, pinkish background. She has her hands up and she is gesturing to all 9 of her cups, which are floating in the air. And the premise of this card is that we are not like showing off, but we are acknowledging the accomplishment that we have in this area of life. In other words, relationships. So we have our second point of contact with this main theme that has come through, looking at our relationships. We are recognizing what's been going well and what hasn't. We're applying that to wanting to think about improvement in the long term and our goal and our objective. But we're folding in the domain of love, heart, connection, ties that bond. And more importantly, this is about a relationship with other people rather than what can sometimes come up with cups is creativity or our intuition. That doesn't really seem like it's on the table, at least for this week. Next up, for tip number 3, we have also from the Moonchild Tarot deck, the Fool. And here, again, it's slightly washed out, but there's a woman and she is kind of bent over and hurrying down these stone steps. And then we have this white dog here looking over into the cosmos. And the quote that came through when I drew this card was, "Every journey starts somewhere." For this tip, we're remembering our roots, our naivete, that anything could, quote, go wrong and at any time because we don't actually control all of the world's outcome, just our actions. To play us back here, Saturn rules Capricorn. This is wanting structure, wanting a system that is built properly and that works. Next card, we're saying, okay, well, what has been working? What have I done a good job at, specifically in a realm where it's maybe not super my strong suit? And then remembering that we have, it's like a glass half full, but we can't forget that it's okay to stay humble and to want to keep going, and that it doesn't have to be perfect, which I think is part of why I had that nudge at the beginning. If anybody is wanting to understand perfectionism, whether you think you're a perfectionist or not, that dealing with these concepts and thinking about them this week could help you navigate the specific discussion, like the narrative that's playing out over these 7 days. It was at this point that I was drawn to read a passage from the guidebook, so I'll go through that quote now. This path, quote, requires a bit of bravery, encouraging you to have faith in your deepest instincts. If there are any voices that discourage you from embarking on this path, connect back to your inner stillness, your heart, and the calling of your soul. As you can see, this is talking about what we have been discussing the whole time. It is not Capricornian to be soft and have that warm heart and the mushiness and thinking about the relationships and how can we be together and get along. But that is exactly what we are trying to do. We're trying to take the kindness piece, the kindness in our journey, the accomplishments of that progress, and then also knowing that it takes some bravery, especially when it's out of our comfort zone. But we're just on the start of what is going to be a much longer journey of development. And that brings us to our final tip, also from the Moonchild Tarot deck. We have the Nine of Wands. And the phrase that came through here was energetic realignment. We are calling our energies, you can see there's like these orbs of light that are coming down into her heart space. Again, on theme. And this is calling our energy back, not in the literal sense of, I need to refill my cup. I'm tired. I've been working hard. Capricorn, I've been working hard. That's not what this is. This is your essence, your being. So, who you really are as a person, what is true to you, and trying to be that best version of yourself, who specifically is kind, who values an open heart and honors their relationships, and who stays humble throughout the process. Therefore, we have our very, very strong theme reinforced with all 4 tips here about compassion. And our goal by the end of this week, a goal which Capricorn loves, not over fixating on goals that are just about us as an individual, but we're ending with having the goal that we reconnect to ourselves because of what we did with those relationship dynamics, with honoring them, with honoring the process, and that it's okay if we're a newbie and we're doing something that's a little bit different and trying to be brave. And I had a quote from the guidebook for the Nine of Wands, which is, as you continue moving on and striving to reach your goals, a minor setback or obstacle might suddenly get in the way. This card asks you to step into your resilience. You're almost there, so now is not the time to give up. So we have 2 main themes, this compassion, this connection between ourself and others. It's not just about our relationship with ourself. It's how are we responding to what other people are doing or not doing? How are we nurturing or tending to, with an open heart, all of our relationships? How are we remaining dedicated to the cause, remaining resilient regardless of whatever comes up that might be new and unexpected or just different and challenging, because this is a journey, this is a process. And the final note that we had was, quote, be wary, but be strong and stay warm. Quick recap. This week, we are on a journey to remember a better way of existing. We received 4 tips to guide us through the next 7 days. The first quarter moon in Capricorn, unleash your kindness self, is to be kinder to ourselves and not excessively goal-focused to our own personal detriment. We think we're doing a good thing by striving, but we could be getting in our own way. And then we have our second tip, which is the 9 of Cups. We are recognizing our relationships, our relationship accomplishments, and all of the dynamics in between with people where we have mutually beneficial partnerships. It's not just about our personal growth journey as an individual. And then we have tip number 3, the Fool. We are remembering our roots and humility, knowing that anything could go wrong at any time. So it's important to be brave. And then we receive confirmation of the anything could go wrong at any time, through card number 4, which is the 9 of Wands, which was signaling that there's some sort of a setback that appears. And we are focused on energetic realignment, calling back the essence of who we are. All of the lessons that we were working on throughout the entire week, playing on all of these, and weaving them together through compassion. It is the light coming back to ourselves. We are cautious, but we are resilient. And we can retain a sense of warmth to guide us through the fray. For our analysis segment, the symbolism on each of the cards, very simply, we have 1 earth, 1 water, 1 fire. And I did look up the Fool, just as I had last week, for the major arcana cards. So this is major arcana, 2 minor arcana, 1 not any arcana of any type because it's not tarot. For the Fool, there is not a strong consensus on the elemental association. Some see it as an air sign, but oftentimes it's viewed as being neutral. There are some theories out there, as in frameworks for tarot, to say that we start as the Fool and we follow it through the journey and we move through the entire tarot. Therefore, it is neutral. And for context, this is, which you can't really see on here, it's very hard to see. This is card 0. This is before everything happens. It's not even card number 1. It's the before. And that's part of why there's this idea of it being neutral. This is just the character, the avatar that moves through the major and minor arcana. For our moon symbolism, we have a first quarter moon. This is about reflection as we are approaching a culmination point, meaning the full moon. And similarly, on the tarot side, we had 2 nines, which is a very similar signature. When we get to the 10 is that point of completion. It is the culmination. So the 9 is thinking, reflecting, centering as we prepare. So we really have 3 with that same signature. And then we have our 0, our Fool over here, that is just looking to find its way through the process. But the predominant energy is we're almost there. So what does this mean? What am I missing? Another point of clarification that came through for those 4 tips is that you could tap into any of them throughout the week at any time. Yes, was there a particular sequence that came through in the reading, and might you just follow that because that's how your week plays out? Absolutely. But because you are watching this potentially at the beginning of the week, you're hearing all these up front, you can skip ahead. You can go to number 3. You can go to number 2. You can go to number 4 at any point in time and continue referencing. And in fact, that was the implication with the final card, that when you get here, you are doing a bit of integration of everything that's come up. To get into the astro weather, we did have some water, earth, and fire activations upcoming. So it matches the signatures on the cards. How convenient. And we do have a Libra moon that happens over the weekend, which is air that kind of throws off our little storyline here. But it is complementary to the 9 of Wands, which is our last card for the week, because fire and air go together. And I do like the idea of the imagery here, that the air is coming in and it's like the unexpected blowing through. Now, to go through a day-to-day breakdown, on Monday, we already have the moon in Cancer, so that is our water element on the background. On Tuesday, in the wee hours of the morning, so Eastern time, at around 4:30 in the morning, we have Mars entering Cancer, so doubling down, lots of water energy right at the beginning of the week. And then the moon, around 10 minutes later, moves into Leo, so now we go into fire sign, which again comes up later. And we have that handoff. So Mars enters and then the moon leaves. The following day is the big day of the week. When the moon enters Leo on Tuesday, it's preparing for that south node solar eclipse in Leo. in the afternoon around 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday. You can learn more about both eclipses that are happening this month in that second astro weather report for August. So I would definitely recommend checking that out for a deep dive. On Thursday in the morning at 6:18, we have the moon entering Virgo, which is an earth sign. So while none of the moon transits are syncing up with the actual order of the cards, I don't think that matters. I think that actually plays nicely into the message I received at the end, which is you could kind of do these in whatever order you want. All that matters is that all of these areas are being activated. And to have Virgo, which I did mention in passing in the reading, there's some traits in common with the betterment. We're trying to grow ourselves, but this is in the landscape of connecting with other people. That works significantly for Cancer. This is a caretaking sign. Leo, which is about loyalty and connection. What are the relationships that you have? But Virgo is also a sign of service. And then we have Libra at the end, which is on Saturday. So nothing new on Friday. Saturday around 10:20, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Libra is all about relationships. So all of these lunations and really all of the transits that we're talking about in this pocket of the zodiac are relationship focused. So it's no surprise that all of the messaging and narratives we were seeing throughout this week psychically are echoed in what's happening in the stars and planets. I mentioned earlier, but if you haven't already or you want to go back and watch again, I would definitely recommend checking out the August 2026 Astro Weather Reports. I have two videos out. The first one, I cover all of the ingresses for the month. And the second one, I have a few events that I wanted to call out in addition to doing a deep dive on the two eclipses. First one in Leo happening this week, second one in Pisces happening the very, very end of the month on the 28th. As far as my upcoming class schedule, if you are watching this on the day it's released, it's not too late to sign up for my meditation and journaling class, which is happening at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Insight Timer. Fast forward, my next class will be offering natal chart mini readings. I do this once every other month. So this time around, I am going to be going live on Insight Timer on August 21st at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. I go on for an hour and just read a few different people's charts, answer some questions. So if you have any questions about astrology, it's really a great time and opportunity to bring those forward. I recently updated my Insight Timer class schedule to include all of my September classes. So feel free to look ahead for my August schedule and then also cast out to September and sign up for whatever you are available to attend. And of course, if you want to work with me one-on-one through a psychic reading, astrology reading, mentorship, or you want to take any of my classes or use any of my guidebooks, you know where to go. Head to my website.